Now we are going to discuss about brief history of virus. The word virus came from Latin word vira, meaning poison or noxious liquid. Virus is a microscopic infectious agent that can only replicate inside the living cells of an organism. Composed of genetic material, either DNA or RNA surrounded by a protein coat, viruses cannot carry out metabolic processes on their own and require a host to reproduce. They can infect various life forms, including animals, plants, and bacteria, and are often responsible for diseases. From where these viruses came from? Viruses likely originated from complex biological processes early in Earth's history, evolving from simpler molecular entities. Here are a few theories about their origins. Co-evolution theory. Viruses may have evolved alongside cellular organisms, developing from mobile genetic elements like plasmids or transposons that gain the ability to infect host cells. Reduction theory. Some theories suggest that viruses could have originated from parasitic cells that gradually lost the ability to live independently, becoming reliant on host cells for replication. Escape theory. Another possibility is that viruses emerged from fragments of genetic material that escaped from the cells of living organisms. Pre-cellular life. Some scientists propose that viruses might have existed before cellular life, serving as intermediaries in the evolution of more complex life forms. Despite ongoing research, the exact origins of viruses remain a topic of scientific investigation and debate. Viruses increase their numbers by infecting host cells and hijacking the cell's machinery to replicate their genetic material and produce new virus particles. Once formed, these new viruses are released to infect other cells, continuing the cycle. The first virus to be discovered was the tobacco mosaic virus, identified in the late 19th century. In 1892, Russian scientist Dmitry Ivanovsky studied a disease affecting tobacco plants and found that the infectious agent could pass through filters that blocked bacteria, suggesting it was smaller than bacteria. This groundbreaking work laid the foundation for the field of virology. Just a few years later, in 1898, Friedrich Loeffler and Paul Frosch identified the foot and mouth disease virus, the first animal virus. Their work demonstrated that viruses could cause diseases in animals, prompting further exploration into viral pathogens. The first human virus to be discovered was the yellow fever virus, identified in the late 19th century. It was first isolated in 1901 by scientist Walter Reed and his team during their research in Cuba, where they studied the transmission of the virus through mosquito bites. The early 20th century marked a golden age for virology. With the advent of the electron microscope in the 1930s, scientists could finally visualize viruses, leading to the classification of many viral families. The identification of the influenza virus in the 1930s highlighted the potential for viral outbreaks to cause widespread disease, as seen in the devastating 1918 flu pandemic. The mid-20th century ushered in a molecular revolution as scientists began to understand the genetic material of viruses. In the 1950s, the structure of DNA was elucidated, paving the way for discoveries about the genetic coding of viruses. Researchers like James Watson and Francis Crick laid the foundation for understanding how viruses replicate and mutate. HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, was identified in the early 1980s. The first recognized cases of AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, were reported in the United States in 1981, primarily among gay men in Los Angeles and New York City. Researchers identified HIV as the causative agent of AIDS in 1983, with significant contributions from scientists like Françoise Barcinucci and Luc Montagnier at the Pasteur Institute in France. There are some viruses that can transfer through generations, and those are hepatitis B, hepatitis C, Zika virus, and rubella virus. Scientists have discovered viable viruses in ancient permafrost that had been frozen for thousands of years. As the permafrost thaws due to climate change, these ancient viruses can potentially be released, raising concerns about their effects on modern ecosystems and human health. However, the likelihood of them being infectious depends on various factors, including their ability to infect current hosts. Scientists had discovered a new virus in the melted permafrost in Siberia. It was around 15,000 years old. What is permafrost? Where is located? To be continued in Episode 2.